Musicians Institute Guitarcraft Program, sponsor of Fox 17 Rockin' Review.
Welcome to the Rockin' Review. I'm so thrilled to have on Grammy-nominated singer, songwriter, entertainer, DJ, author, now actress, Deborah Allen. You know, you probably know her from a lot of her hit songs and even her crossover song, Baby I Lied. And now you're doing this Christmas show, what, tomorrow night at Franklin?
Yeah, tomorrow night. Eric, it's so great to be here. Thank you for having me.
It's great having you on.
I am so excited about tomorrow night at the Franklin Theater. My Rockin' Little Christmas show. If you don't have plans, come on out. It's going to be so much fun.
There might be a few tickets left.
Yeah, well, really, that's speaking lightly because we got about 6 tickets left, actually.
Oh, my gosh.
We're almost sold out, so get...
And you may have a special guest or two that might come that were also on the album?
Well, actually, I heard a little birdie told me that Tanya Tucker might be there.
Wow.
So I'm really excited about that.
How great. Well, you did write a few hit songs for her.
Well, I recorded one song that was a Me and Airplane song for her.
That's not a bad... That's kind of unheard of in this day and age,
called
you know?
Can I See You Tonight? But she's recorded 2 or 3 of my songs.
That's what I mean.
That was one of the ones that really, you know, is really...
Yeah, because, you know, and I knew you as a songwriter through all those years, but it's like, you know, you wrote hits for so many different artists.
It's a real blessing, you know. I mean, I've always loved to sing my own songs, but when I first got my first taste of artists recording my songs, you know, it's just like icing on the cake.
Oh, yeah.
And it's really always cool to hear their rendition of what you did. It's always
well, you know, and the duets you've done over the years, also like with Jim Reeves that you did posthumously, and then also with George Jones and different people, and it's just kind of amazing. And what's great, I think, is how you keep reinventing yourself. You know, like you've got this show tomorrow night. And obviously with your Christmas album, but also your book that came out just like a year ago, and you've got Molly Brooks that did the illustrations.
Things happen in such a mysteriously wonderful way. I was riding with Kix Brooks one afternoon. We're old friends.
Yeah.
And I just happened to ask him how his kids were doing, and he said, "Hey, have you seen Molly's artwork?" And I said, "No." And so I went to her website and checked it out. And I thought, maybe that's the missing link to my Christmas book,
right.
You know? And so I asked her if I could read it to her. And at the end of it, after I read it to her, she said, "Deborah, when did you write this?" And I said, "I'm embarrassed to tell you when I actually wrote it, Molly." She goes, "When?" I said, "Actually, I wrote the book in 1986.
Oh, wow.
And she goes, "Oh, that's the year I was born." I said, "You're kidding me." She goes, "Yeah, and as a matter of fact, I was born on Christmas Eve." I went, "Molly, I remember you being born on Christmas Eve. That was big news around town. Barbara and Kix having you. This is amazing. You've got to do my artwork."
Oh, my
and so I said, "If you want to." And she said, "I want to." So, I mean, that's just a miracle how that came to be. Because, you know, I mean, I just had written it and I had a couple of attempts at getting it published. But there was always a little missing piece here or there.
Book.
Thank you so much. But that was like the missing link, was having Molly involved in it.
And now you're having a re-release to where you're kind of doing the narration and everything.
Yes.
It's in digital form.
I'm super excited about that. We're re-releasing it this year in digital form. It's a video movie with me narrating it, and you get to see all of Molly's incredible, beautiful artwork with it. And you know, there is another little miracle that happened with it. And when you read the book, the the lady that's the hero in the book is actually named after a lady here in Nashville that I befriended.
Oh my gosh.
And,
how incredible.
And it's just amazing.
Touching.
You know what? I don't even feel like I wrote this book. I feel like it was just a gift from God because I wrote it in 4 days. I didn't even know that I was planning on writing a book.
How incredible is that?
I had no idea that I was going to write a book. It's just one day I had this big art pad and my pen, and I started going once upon a time, and then in 4 days later, I found out what happened.
How incredible!
It just came through me. It was really
well. Now I've got to ask
special.
you as well. You know, because you and I bumped into each other at the premiere of the movie that you're in. That just released, The Least of These, The Christmas Story, and it's available on Amazon and everything else. How did you end up working with these guys to be in this movie and acting? Because you did an incredible job.
Thank you. Well, I'm really good friends with Mark Nicolosi. He and I got to be friends when he edited some music videos for me, and I just thought he was incredible. He worked a lot with Sherman Halsey on all the early Dwight Yoakam and the Tim McGraw videos. So we became great friends, and so I said, "Hey, would you like to co-direct my next video?" So we've been friends for a long time through that medium. Then he called me up and said, "Hey, I'm going to direct my first feature-length movie. Would you like to play the role of Dwayne Allen's wife.
Right. It was so neat seeing you and Dwayne Allen both on there, and the whole cast is great because I think Loretta Lynn's granddaughter.
Yeah, Taylor Lynn, Loretta's
awesome.
granddaughter. She plays the leading role, and I must say that she did an amazing job.
I was impressed, and the music. I want to bring up also. You've got 5 tracks in there.
Yes, I did. I was really lucky to have that. I sing 2 of the songs that I wrote, and then Brewer's Grade, which is one of my favorite bands on the planet. They're out on the West Coast.
Yeah.
They recorded one that I wrote with Zach Grooms, and then let's see, Olivia Haskins sang one. Oh, and Paul Overstreet sang one.
Paul's amazing.
Yes, he is.
He's got a new Christmas album out too. But I wanted to bring up as well, you know, I found it so interesting, you know, getting ready for the show and knowing I was going to have you on, Deborah, to where, you know, your early history here, you know, when you moved to Nashville, you know, coming out of Memphis and everything, and started working at an IHOP on Music Row.
Yeah, true.
And so how exactly did Roy Orbison kind of discover you?
Well, I had been working at IHOP, but I was no longer working there. But it was one of the places I felt good about going to and sitting by myself. So I was sitting there in this booth, and across over there I saw this guy with jet black hair and a guy with salt and pepper hair. And I was like, those guys have got to be in the music business. I was about 18 years old.
Right.
So I got my courage up. I walk over there. Don't ask me why I said this. I walk to their booth and I go, excuse me, but are y'all in the insurance business? And they look at me and they go, no, darling, we're in the music business. I slide into that booth. I go, that's what I thought. I'm a singer and I'm trying to get started. They were so sweet. They just were so sweet to me. 2 weeks later, when I finally got a phone at my apartment on Music Row, and I went down to give my number to the people, to the lady at AFTRA.
Yeah.
They said, we're so glad to get your phone number because guess who's looking for you? And I said, who? And it was Roy Orbison and Joe Melson sitting in that booth that I had made friends with.
How crazy is that?
And I got to sing on 2
I was going to bring that
tracks.
up. You got to sing it. And then also around that time, you were also performing at Opryland too?
Yeah, I performed at Opryland for about a year and a half. I went to Russia with Tennessee Ernie Ford on a State Department tour.
What a great experience was that?
That was incredible. It really just was a very eye-opening experience to experience the world that way, and it was just wonderful. But you know, it really also makes you really appreciate your own country too when you get back home.
Well, you know, and like we brought up earlier on the show too, Deborah, you know, you've written songs. Besides performing your own songs, you've written hit songs for so many artists over the years. It's just, I mean, Isaac Hayes, all these different artists that you would not think of, you know, and like we were talking about with Prince. You know, Prince produced one of your tracks. It's like, okay, most people don't think of that with country music.
No, I mean, I've always been an adventurous person, you know, and I have worked with everybody from the King of Country to the Prince of Pop. So my music spans a pretty wide footprint, but it's always kept it really interesting for me. But, you know, country music and the songwriting is the core and the base of what I do. But you mentioned Isaac Hayes and Millie Jackson. And that's an interesting one because it's just a great example of how one song can be performed by Conway and Loretta, and then turn around and Millie Jackson and Isaac Hayes cut it, and it's like the same song, but it sounds like 2 different songs. But it's their interpretation, and that's, like I said, that's the icing on the cake.
But looking at, you know, going through your whole list, and obviously, you know, you've got a 2,000 song catalog. But you know, everybody from, like we said, Isaac Hayes, Fleetwood Mac, all of these artists, LeAnn Rimes, Brooks and Dunn, Tanya Tucker,
Patty Loveless.
Yeah, I mean, my gosh.
John Conley.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And would you have thought that when you first came to town?
No, I would not
have. With no phone on Music Row.
Exactly. And then, you know what, I didn't even know I was going to become a songwriter. I was just a girl from Memphis with a dream in my heart to sing. And then when I was singing, after I got back from Russia, I was playing at the Spence Manor on the happy hour. And I was also hanging out at Waylon Jennings' office a lot. And my friend Marie Barrett, who later married John Hartford, that was the nest of people I was around, the Glazer brothers and all of them.
The right people.
Well, I invited Shel Silverstein to come hear me sing at the Spence Manor.
Oh my gosh.
And because I thought maybe he'll know, you know, I said I'm at a crossroads. I got to figure out what I'm doing next. And he's the one who inspired me to start writing songs.
How amazing. Thank goodness.
Yeah, he did. He put it pretty simple to me. You know, I did my set. I came down and sat beside him and said, well, what'd you think? He goes, well, I think you got a pretty good voice, really good voice. And I'm like, oh boy, I'm getting ready to get discovered. And then he said, but you know, there's a lot of great singers in this town. And I thought, well, now he's going to tell me to keep my day job. But he said, you know how great you feel up there on that stage? And I said, yeah. He goes, that feeling goes away, right? I said, yeah. And I'm like, where is he going with this?
Right.
And he said, have you ever thought about writing songs? And I said, well, I used to write poetry a lot, but never have written a song. And he said, I think you ought to think about it. He goes, because, you know, you can write your own direction. And he goes, a song is something that no one can ever take away from you. You'll always have that. Wow. And he goes, besides, sun doesn't shine on the same dog's back every day. You know, so, I mean, I said, I'll tell you what, I'll write a couple of songs and play them for you. If you think I've got potential, I'll do it. So I did that, and he went, I think you got away with words. And when he said that, a little light bulb went off in me. When I went to see my mother, which they had moved to Hot Springs, Arkansas. They were building a house up there. And when I walked in the door, she goes, well, Deb, sugar, what are you doing these days? And I said, oh, I'm a songwriter. He changed my life in an instant. You know,
just that little twist.
I've never forgotten that. And that's something I've always tried to share and pass on with young artists coming up, too, because I know, you know, and that's something I love about Nashville. I feel like when you're in Nashville and it's a community, and when people feel that your heart's in the right place and you're striving, you're working hard to do something, it's a generous, heartfelt community, and people will still reach out, and especially then, and I think so now, because even on social media, I noticed it with the younger artists, and I think it's a really wonderful thing. I see them all hanging out together and doing things, and that's the way the ball keeps rolling forward.
Well, and I think you're a great role model, too, because, I mean, you know, back to your hit with Baby I Lied, you know, back in the 80s and everything, you've constantly been in a state of reinvention. And now, you know, with your songwriting, with your new music you're working on for 2019, book, movie, you know, the show tomorrow night at Franklin, you've got a lot going on.
I know, it's funny, you know, you just work on things and have fun creating. It's kind of crazy to even call it work. You just, you know, staying involved in things, and all of a sudden it snowballs and you've got all these projects. And it just so happens they're all falling at Christmas, the show, the book, the movie. I'm so excited.
Now, what's the best place for our viewers to find you on social media, the website, and everything else?
Well, on social media, it's Deborah Allen Official on Facebook. And on Twitter and Instagram, it's at Deborah Allen 3, because 3 is my lucky number.
There we go.
And of course, if you want to buy tickets for the show tomorrow night, it's franklintheater.com or deborahAllen.com.
Well, I'll tell you what, go see the show, download the new digital book, the brand new movie as well. Deborah Allen, you're going to enjoy all of it. Thanks for watching the Rockin' Review.
Musicians Institute Guitarcraft Program, sponsor of Fox 17 Rockin' Review.